let us all do we can to build a better future. So, you know, I'm not a learned man in the realms of stocks or stonks, as the trend is happening here on social media. You know, and look, I remember my younger days when I used to go to GameStop and, you know, check out.
You mean Game Stonks?
Game Stonks. What? You know,
hey, I have 30 games I'd like to return. How much can I get?
Yeah,
$35.
35. And look, here's the thing. You know, sometimes things end. When my Uncle Bernie was still with us, he said, "Kurt, I want you to go to Radio Shack," and I had to deliver him the harsh news that Radio Shack is gone. And sometimes things go away, like Game Stonks, like Radio Shack, like Nokia, like AMC movie theaters.
Makes me laugh every time.
But you know what? Sometimes there's hope. And I hold on to that fire of hope because GameStop, GameStonk, kind of came back. And it came back in a big way to where it is screwing hedge fund managers on Wall Street up the wazoo. And as far as I'm concerned, I am laughing at it because now they're screaming, "Oh, we need regulation. Oh no, the poor people are actually outsmarting us at our own game." Yeah, hey, Wall Street executives, you didn't think we were going to pay attention? You didn't think we were going to smack you in the mouth after all the years that you've been screwing us over? And now Washington, D.C. is talking about stricter regulations. So first, whoever you heroes are who decided to do something about GameStop and screw over those hedge fund managers, know this: forever you are in my heart as heroes, and you remain in the Hall of Heroes until the day humanity is no longer here. But first, again, I want to give a shout out to Case Study QB because he captured some outstanding video segments on social media. Please follow him on Twitter. We got a whole bunch of interviews to go on, so you know, let's keep our commentary short as we switch the video to video. But nonetheless, let's play this first video. Phase, play that video.
I think that what you're seeing is essentially a pushback against the establishment in a really important way. You have a lot of people, and I would encourage anybody who is dismissive of this thing to go into Wall Street Bets and actually just read the forums. And I think that you're going to see three kinds of posts. The first kind of content are a lot of people doing some incredible fundamental diligence on companies, trying to think about long-term value. And in my opinion, many of them are doing as good and frankly a better job than a lot of hedge fund analysts that I work with. That's number one. The second are a lot of people who believe that, you know, coming out of 2008, what happened was Wall Street took an enormous amount of risk and they left retail as the bag holder. And a lot of these kids were in grade school and high school when that happened. They lost their homes, their parents lost their jobs, and they've always wondered, like, why did those folks get bailed out for taking enormous amounts of risk and nobody helped and showed up to help my family? And then the third thing is a realization that instead of having idea dinners or, you know, quiet whispered conversations amongst hedge funds in the Hamptons, these kids have the courage to do it transparently in a forum. And I'm not saying all of it is perfect by any means, but I think it takes an enormous amount of faith in the system to be that transparent, to talk about things, and then for each individual to make their own mind up and to do things, whether it's to buy and to sell. And I think that what it proves is this retail phenomenon is here to stay. There are 2.7 million people inside of Wall Street Bets. I think that they are as important as any hedge fund or collection of hedge funds. And I think the most important thing is that in a world of zero interest rates and quantitative easing, I don't know how you can run a typical hedge fund strategy and make money anymore. Because, for example, when you looked at GameStop, you know, a normal person would say, how can you have 136% short interest? How can you be short 40% more shares than actually exist in the world?
All right, let's go ahead and play the next video. Before we do, go ahead, Dan.
No, go ahead.
Well, because here's the thing I want to address, and that is, you know, a lot of us, especially millennials specifically, you know, we went through 2 economic recessions, and now we're walking into a depression, because I'm tired of hearing the word recession. We're in a depression. When we got people waiting in lines for food, when you're seeing Wall Street executives get bailouts, big banks get bailouts, corporations get bailouts, you're going to make a lot of people angry. And if you don't think people are not going to push back, well, then you're living in another reality. So let's play this next video because, again, the corporate pundit, not this individual who's speaking, but the corporate pundit's going to be pushing back and, giving the establishment talking points. Let's play that second video.
Doesn't make any sense. But to a Wall Street mathematician, that's the game that has been played for years. And that game came undone.
Well, I mean, that may be that may be somewhat of an extreme example. Let me just go through a couple of things you
Let me pause
said
for a
here.
second. I just love, because you know that every single person on these business channels is, first of all, involved when it's hedge funders doing the same thing. It's the cyclical cycle of a bunch of hedge fund guys come together, usually in a wine cave, maybe Pete Buttigieg is in the background somewhere, and they say, hey, let's just start shorting this stock. Let's do this with this or this with this stock. And they go, okay. And then they contact all their friends in media, and they contact all their business people, and they say to the people on in media, hey, tell everyone this stock's doing really bad and has really bad foundation. And then everyone else, hey, start selling these shares in this stock. And then they destroy hundreds or thousands of jobs. And they're like, wow, we extracted a lot of money. But now that a less dangerous version of that is happening with a lot of people on Wall Street Bets on Reddit, all of a sudden, the same people on the news are like, this is an extreme example. This is really bad.
I know.
I'm getting kickbacks. Those kickbacks won't maintain themselves.
Exactly. And I want to acknowledge this YouTube super chat. It's because apropos to it. Roger Meadows, $5. Reminds me The Empire Strikes Back when the first transport got through Vader's blockade of Hoth and the rebels all yelled, yay, yes. Or as I like to quote the Imperial commander at the time, good, our first catch of the day. And then his ship got shot down, which is funny. So let's go ahead and play the rest of the video.
I have a hard time believing. I mean, you suggested that there's, a good amount of fundamental research going on underneath the GameStop Reddit situation. Do you truly believe that? That there's actual fundamental research? Not to disparage in any way the people who are actually making these trades, but this seems to be momentum rather than a deep fundamental analysis.
Scott, there's momentum in traditional hedge funds and how they move stocks as well. But it's really disparaging if the starting position is these guys can't do the same quality of research as an analyst in a fund. That's just not true.
I didn't say that. I didn't say they can't do that kind of research. I'm questioning whether they're actually doing the research when it comes to things like GameStop
pause it one more
time. And some of these.
Okay, this is the classic. Hey, I'm not saying that you hit your wife. I'm asking when you stopped. Come on, this is straightforward, guys.
Madness.
Yeah, that was amazing. That denial was incredible. I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
You just did.
Let's hit play.
Other things.
There's a distribution. And obviously at one end, there are fundamental analysts. But on the other end, there are momentum traders that follow trends. But by the way, the dirty little secret of Wall Street is that exists in hedge fund land. The reason why this GameStop trade has caused so much pain is because at the top of the pecking order was Melvin Capital. Those guys were incredible stock pickers. They are incredible fundamental modelers of companies. Okay, Gabe Plotkin is one of the sort of giants of our era, of my era, right? But at the end of the day, what happens is, irrespective of what he puts on, his trades are mimicked and copied by umpteen other hedge funds that follow along. For every LP that can't get into Melvin, they get into a copycat fund that works basically like Melvin. And so when the trade goes against him, then it goes against all these people all at the same time. So the reality is there are fundamental momentum investors in the market that are organized capital, i.e. hedge funds, and disorganized, loosely affiliated capital, i.e. Wall Street bets. And I think what you're seeing is the push and pull of that, and the realization should be that if every person was...
All right. So again, I just want to let everyone know that what this person is saying is that there is going to be a pushback to the horrible actions that Wall Street and these hedge fund managers, these banks have done to us. We've been screwed over. In 2008, 8 million people were basically kicked out of their homes. And now, of course, the can's been kicked down the road, but still 30 to 40 million Americans are at risk of being evicted. Just because Congress pushed that date down the road doesn't mean it stopped. People are still being evicted. We're still covering stories about that. I'm actually having a local Chicago group that talks about protecting homeowners and renters reaching out to me so they could be a guest on our show. the stuff is happening and people need to know about it. And who's profiting off it? Wall Street. Let's set up that third video.
There's really quickly before we do, I just want to point out again that this very important thing that they're trying to argue on the news. Again, these guys all on the TV. I'm sure. I'm going to do your favorite thing that they just did. I'm not saying they definitely get kickbacks for being corrupt and moving around the values of companies by saying it in an authoritative way. I'm just saying, when did they stop? So when this is all happening, again, this guy right here is really sad that he is hypothetically, I'm going to maintain this ruse, getting cut out of all these future transactions. You have. They're basically arguing that when they say momentum, they're trying to make an argument that what Wall Street Bets is doing is illegal, because then they can go after it. By the way, it's hysterical that you have these speculators all of a sudden going, "Hey, we need good regulation on this topic,
well,
and we've been consistent with this." But in reality, what's happening again is, it turns out that you don't need to have $1 billion investment company. You just need to have maybe 500,000 people willing to invest $50 all in the same direction, and you get the exact same result. And so someone was mentioning that this is the first time in a very long time where the middle and lower class have transferred wealth from the ultra rich back down to themselves, because they lost a lot of money in that short.
And you know what? I'm not shedding a tear for the rich. I'm not crying. Hey, let's have democracy while we play the third video. Type 1 if you're crying for the rich. Type 2 if you're laughing at the rich.
Well, I'm also curious how quick Congress will act on that kind of regulation too.
Yeah.
You know?
And watch Democrats vote in favor of
do
it.
nothing Congress do something.
Yeah, and also just to also point out on all of this, they've been able to do this for years, and one time someone is like, "Hey, I'm going to do the same thing," and they're like, "We need legislation." It's very sad today.
Oh, look at all the number twos. I love you guys. This audience is awesome. Let's play that third video.
I'm glad they're participating. I'm glad they're making a lot of money. I just think it needs to come with a warning sign. There needs to be a hazard sign. All right? There needs to be a hazard sign.
You don't say.
The hazard should be, hey, FYI, for example, why isn't there more transparency in the reporting that hedge funds have to make? Every long position, every short position, and all the leverage they're taking every day. Why don't we do that? Then you would have a warning sign. You know why? Because people in retail would analyze that stuff so intricately, and we would know where the tripwires were, okay? The reason why GameStop happened, Scott, was not, again, because of a fundamental disagreement about valuation. It was because of portfolio construction arbitrage. Too much leverage, too much short selling, too many calls, too many put buying. All of that stuff contributed to this dynamic. That was an institutional dynamic that was created by institutional capital. So if you created transparency in reporting, that probably wouldn't have happened, because a regulator would have said, hey guys, I'm not going to let you be short 140% of a company. That's not right. And then you know what would have happened? The squeeze would not have happened. Now, so if you want to fix it, I think you got to go and ask for the same transparency, because you can't all of a sudden have your cake and eat it too. Let's have hedge funds operate in the shadows, but let's then basically lambast Wall Street Bets because they actually have the courage to write their stuff down publicly where anybody can see it.
I mean, look, my point is that I'm not lambasting anybody, okay? I'm glad these people are making money.
Okay, pause it really quick. Okay, he's not lambasting anyone. Okay, let's watch him lambast someone.
That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
Let's face it. No, you're not, okay? And, the person that was on before you, no, she's not. And that's the issue. It's like, because the rules are changing underfoot, people don't like that. Now, I'm not saying that there can't be better regulation, okay, and there can't be tighter rules. I get all of that. But what I am saying is that you have to be cognizant that we are moving to a world where normal, ordinary folks have now access to all the same information as institutional organized capital. And they will come to many of the same conclusions, sometimes at the same time, oftentimes faster.
Okay, so again. So here's the thing. I'm noticing the same talking point, and I wish I could have uploaded this clip for today's show too. But Case Study QB did upload a clip from Fox News, and one of the pundits on there saying, "Well, this is just how the market works." And another Fox News contributor was trying to push back, saying, "Well, this is not how it should be."
Hey, but a pair isn't a pair, even though it's a pair. It's not the same pair.
Yeah, and again, this YouTube super chat is very apropos to this. Robert R, $1.99. Thank you so much. Watch Democrats pass COVID with bailout for them too. And again, this is again where we're seeing hedge fund managers scream and Wall Street scream for regulations when for decades they've been saying we want deregulation. And so when the little people play the game, you know, they all of a sudden start panicking.
Yeah,
So let's set up that next video.
I want to let Kira go, but I just want to say this is like every other thing that's happened with the digital age. It just takes a while for it to happen. So it used to be only Hollywood studios could effectively deep fake someone or do something like that. And back when it was people that were making a large amount of money, oh, it's fine. That's really clever. I really like the work you did there. It's amazing how you made a dead person come to life by putting their face on another actor. That's incredible. But then when regular people do deep fakes, it's in congressional hearings. Should we have this? This is an issue. It is the case with, and when someone, it's like when Amazon makes like a server group and it's like, oh, Amazon, great job making servers, when regular people want to make servers. This is bad. Regular people trying to get on this same action. We should regulate it because we don't trust our citizens. Also, we're really free.
Yeah. Kira, do you want to add any commentary?
I wasn't really going to, but since I'm given the space, I will. Just want to be like, underestimate us again, you know?
Let's play that next video then, because I think we're all going to get a big kick out of this.
Forced to publish their fundamental research, it would be hard to distinguish the best version of research from Wall Street bets and the best version of research from a hedge fund. They don't have an edge. And this is what you're exposing, is that edge is gone. And now all of a sudden, you know, retail can be on the same footing, and they don't have to be the bag holder to Wall Street.
But let me ask you this. I mean, but somebody from retail is going to eventually be to use your words, bag holder in this situation. Are they not? And do you think it's responsible for you and some other big names who tweeted about it yesterday and to get involved yourself, knowing that you guys are considered the Pied Pipers, that people are going to follow you into these trades, and someone is ultimately going to get hurt after you and others
they care all of a sudden. That's so sweet.
Dude, where was that message in 2008, Scott?
Thank you.
I mean, that's a joke. For example, let's look at Tesla. Who was right on Tesla? I'll tell you who was right. Every single retail investor. I was right. Elon Musk was right. Let me tell you who was wrong. Every single hedge fund. Name after name when it comes to innovation, when it comes to growth, when it comes to people trying to do fundamentally useful things in the world. If it doesn't fit into the mold that Wall Street wants, they try to organize against it.
That know how to land.
And there has been pushback after pushback after pushback in individual names, and this is yet another form of pushback. And all I'm trying to say is the mechanics of how Wall Street has worked. And again, I wish you would ask this detailed question. Why is it allowed for somebody running a hedge fund to basically claim that they are market neutral, but be levered up? They take a $10 billion fund, and their prime brokers allow them to run $100 billion of notional notional exposure. Who thinks that that's fair? It's not fair to the retail investor, because when that blows up and a $100 billion hole exists in a fund, which, by the way, this is exactly what happened in 2008, the government bails them out. Who is the government? All of us. So, you know, retail has been the bag holder before. Retail hasn't caused these things before.
Exactly. And here's the thing that a lot of people need to realize is that these hedge fund managers, these Wall Street executives have been laughing at working class citizens for years. So many communities have been devastated by the bailouts that Wall Street banks and major corporations have been getting. And now that you have working class people playing this game, well, you know what? Now all of a sudden you have them crying and begging and screaming and saying, well, we need to have regulation. And the thing is, I could see Congress, you know, doing something, trying to rush real fast to protect their hedge fund owners, because at the end of the day, Wall Street, banks, and corporations own Washington, D.C., but this is a win for the working class citizen, for working class people, because the average person played Wall Street's game, and we won, and they deserve a good kick in the gut, because you know what? These Wall Street executives have been hurting people for years. Let's play that final video.
These things before. So if you're going to talk about taking the gun away from the baby, let's make sure we figure out who the baby is.
Yeah, but do you think that you helped fan the flames, and others.
Is this
like you,
your fault?
Whether it's one of the Winklevi brothers tweeting about it, Elon Musk tweeting about it, that it's ultimately driving this stock up well beyond what the fundamentals say that it should be. I mean, I don't think you think, and you tell me, you think that GameStop is worth $350 a share?
In my heart, yes.
What I can tell you is that when I put that position on, $125,000 position, I used it to acquire knowledge and learning. And what I was trying to figure out is how these positions move in the modern trading era. And what I can tell you is, up until that point, the setup made no mathematical sense. How do you be short 140% of a company's shares? That wasn't retail.
Well, maybe that's a question for regulators. That maybe the whole
regulators. You hear that? Regulators.
But
I'll tell you how it's allowed to happen. It's allowed to happen so that hedge funds can charge 2 and 20 to their limited partners, independent of consequences. I'll tell you another way that it's allowed to happen. Hedge funds are allowed to take their money, go to a prime broker, and all of a sudden get 10x multiplication on that money. That's the problem. You have trillions of dollars of notional being traded by these organizations. You have maybe billions of dollars being traded by retail.
All right, I think that's it for the videos, or unless we have any more. Is that it, FaZe? That's it. All right, awesome.
That's
so
wonderful.
let's actually get like some notes.
This should have been a story 6 because this is too wonderful to start the entire.
You know what?
show
Let's have it on a high note. That's why I wanted to do it. But
I think we start the show on a high note.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Kira. Democracy. Democracy. FaZe, do you think we should start a show with a high note? Give it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. All right, so Kira, let's have your comments first. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. I just only have a couple, but the whole regulator conversation, hilarious, right? Mm-hmm. And it would be interesting to see how quickly Congress can actually push through a regulation for this kind of thing. I bet they could get it through faster than any sort of a stimulus package.
Oh, we're still waiting for that.
So
yeah, we are.
I hope.
Isn't that incredible?
Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Daniel. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, okay, I really do hope that someone sends this or posts this part to Wall Street Bets. This is an idea. If it's going to work, everyone's either going to agree or disagree, regardless of not whether I say it. But you guys you're showing your ability to do this already. So I would love to see Wall Street Bets, because you're going to need it, start investing everyone's joint money in lobbyists. Everyone just needs to pay $5 or $10 if there's enough people. Get them in Congress and actually start getting laws passed through the power of Wall Street Bets. Wall Street Bets, you could be the very thing that we're trying to become right now by just. They're probably all working through just like in hedge funds, which I think is the funniest part about this is that they're arguing that hedge funds are more realistic and more valuable because they're less transparent and controlled by fewer people, whereas Wall Street Bets is worse because they're public and controlled by many more people. Isn't that interesting? So all I'm saying is to Wall Street Bets people, you can invest in a lot of things. If you're making money off this process, you know for a fact that there are people that are out to get you. So prepare yourself against it in the same way they do, but instead of it just being a few people buying lobbyists, you're a lot of people with a lot of family and friends who can actually bolster the message with calls to congressional offices and threatening to vote for someone else. And I also, just to put out there, you guys are also in the same amount, you also are running with us enough money to actually force candidates into elections if they don't comply to you. And you're a lot more able to do this sort of in a floating, a versatile way than a hedge fund, which is very stuck with certain rigidities that you guys don't have. So I'm just saying, take it further.
Kira, continue.
Yeah, and just with some other really fun ironies that I wanted to point out from this particular pundit. I don't know what his name is. I don't watch his show, so maybe he's lamented against stock buybacks in the past, and I don't know about it. But he said, isn't this driving the stocks up beyond the fundamentals where the fundamentals should be? It's like, yeah, isn't that what stock buybacks do? and like I said, to be fair, I don't follow this pundit, so maybe he has been lamenting about stock buybacks for some time, and I just don't know it.
Oh, and
I doubt it though.
Yeah. And here's another thing that I just realized. This retail section has a big advantage. They can't insider trade because they're doing it on a public platform.
So, real quick, and I think as we end this segment, this is probably the best news people have heard all day in regards towards, because since 2020, what have we seen since the first stimulus bailout? And that is these corporations getting PPE loans, they're getting bailed out, they're being taken care of by their good prostitutes in Washington, D.C., also known as the United States Senate and House, Democratic and Republican lawmakers. And the thing is, who's been screwed over? Working class people. People have been losing their small businesses, people have been losing their homes, apartments, everything. And we're at a height of a pandemic. And the thing is, here's that tiny little violin that I want to play for those hedge fund managers, because now finally you're feeling what we've been feeling for decades. So I'm not going to cry for you. I'm not going to feel sorry for you hedge fund managers in Wall Street. I'm not going to feel any pity for you whatsoever, because for too long, people have been screwed over by you guys and what you've done in Washington, D.C. and what you've done to our country. So here's the thing. Here's how it should be. The people should push back. And if it means hurting Wall Street executives' wallets, well then, yeah, let's do it. Let them feel what we've been feeling. Because this is something I've been saying on the show. They're looking down at us from their ivory towers, and we're looking right back up saying, my, oh my, don't they look so delicious? So you know what? We're going to go inside and take your food. We're going to take your couches. We're going to take everything that you have. And if you don't like it, go ahead and cry to Wall Street, because we'll figure it out. We're going to keep on figuring out, because as far as I'm concerned, it's long overdue for the people to do something. And if it's GameStop or GameStonks that's going to do it, then so be it. And here's a win for the working class, for the people who did this on Reddit. You guys are heroes in my book, and keep on doing it. Keep on pushing it, and make these executives understand that they are never allowed to do this again.
And again, I think we're all a big fan of economic equality of opportunity here at Hardlands Media. So I'm going to go another idea and concept, because I know we're going to hear this. So right now, in the current day and age that we're in, if a retail investor goes bankrupt and loses their shirt in their house, no one cares. No, everyone's like, they just weren't good at the game. So I just want to remind everyone that all the stockbrokers have taken this position with you, retail people, for, I don't know, however long they could yell at you and look down on you. So if all of a sudden, I don't know, some stockbroker decides that they're going to over leverage their entire position and ends up owing 10 times more money than their entire income or their assets are, don't feel bad. You're just meeting the standard that they set for you.
Exactly. Yep. So with that being said, I think we should be wrapping things up. So with a final note to this, I'm looking forward to seeing the actions of Wall Street and what Washington, D.C. is going to do, because once again showing the hypocrisy of our political establishment, because watch our political establishment just jump up to save their corporate donors.
Guys, you got to hire some lobbyists. I mean, literally, someone either send the timestamp of the live stream or of the clip when we make it. Live stream's going to come out faster. They need to be thinking about this stuff, because I'm sure a lot of these guys are just like, I'm going to number this thing out, and I'm on Wall Street Bets, and they're not thinking as politically as they should. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I haven't been to the actual subreddit. Start investing in some defensive lobbyists.
There we go.